Namaste and welcome to Know This. I'm your host, Priyanka Deo. Earlier this week, the Taliban announced that it plans to implement provisions from Afghanistan's 1964 constitution which do not go against Islamic law or Sharia to rule the country. The Taliban is also working on drafting a new constitution that would be completed by year 2022. So far, the Taliban have not released anything official that explains how they will govern, but a growing concern is that Sharia law can be highly subjective. What will Taliban rule look like? Here's what you need to know. Afghanistan has had multiple constitutions since 1747. That was when it became a sovereign nation. Although Afghanistan became a state in 1747, the first constitution was written in the 1890s and followed by another version in 1923. The 1964 Constitution of Afghanistan transformed the nation into a modern democracy. This constitution included a Bill of Rights for all Afghans, which explicitly included women and also focused on socio-economic modernization. This constitution also created two houses of parliament, with the lower house getting elected via universal suffrage. This gave Afghani citizens the right to vote. The 1964 constitution lasted for 8 years until then leader Zahir Shah was overthrown. Now, although the constitution was progressive, it led to real-time problems. For instance, the cabinet and legislature were frequently deadlocked and, as a result, ineffective in ratifying important legislation. In 2004, a new constitution was adopted that included implementing a president and also equal rights for women. This constitution came after NATO invaded Afghanistan. NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is an alliance of European and North American countries. NATO allies invaded Afghanistan after the 9/11 terror attacks took place in the United States in 2001. The aim was to ensure that Afghanistan does not become a breeding ground and haven for international terrorism. The 2004 Constitution, however, is not liked by the Taliban, who consider it influenced by Western and elitist values. Therefore, let's take a look at the provisions of the 1964 Constitution. First, this constitution does state that non-Muslim citizens shall be free to perform their rituals, but within the limits and laws concerning public decency and peace. In simpler terms, this constitution grants freedom to religion, but limits will be determined by the Taliban. Now, under Sharia law, the Taliban can potentially prohibit any public expression of religion that does not align with Islamic beliefs. The Taliban has stated that it will respect the rights of minorities and other religions residing in Afghanistan, including Sikhs, but history has shown otherwise. During Taliban rule from 1996 to 2001, religious minorities were frequently prosecuted and religious symbols and idols were destroyed. Second, the 1964 Constitution will replace the powers of the king with powers of current acting Prime Minister Mohammad Akund or the Taliban Supreme Leader Haibatullah Akhundzada. Remember, it was in 2004 that the role of president came about. So in the 1964 Constitution, the king does not have to worry about accountability and is also protected from scrutiny. Additionally, the reign of the king shall pass on to the eldest son. If the eldest son is unfit to become king, the throne passes on to the next son, and so on. Not much is known about Supreme Leader Haibatullah Akhundzada. It's not even known whether he has kin in line for the throne. In the past, those close to Taliban founder MULLAH Omar have been appointed to senior leadership roles. It remains unknown if this will happen. Third, the 1964 Constitution articulated that the people of Afghanistan have equal rights and obligations before the law. This is without discrimination or predilection. While the Taliban has stated that they would be open to women in government, the Taliban cabinet currently has no women. Furthermore, while the Taliban has stated that they respect women's rights to education, women have been barred presently from Kabul University. To add, during the Taliban's last rule, groups including women, non-Pashtun groups, and Tajiks were discriminated on the regular. As for punishment under the law, the 1964 Constitution calls for a competent court and open trial held in the presence of the accused. Additionally, no Afghan citizen who is accused of a crime can be extradited to another country. Also under the 1964 Constitution, two houses of legislature are formed. The lower house is called the House of the People and the upper house is called the House of the Elders. The parliament is called the Shura in Afghanistan. The members of the lower house are voted in, while members of the upper house are indirectly elected. The Taliban have expressed that it would be open to free elections. Taliban spokesperson Suhail Shaheen has elaborated this is, and I quote, an issue that would be determined by a future constitution. Now, it's important to note that while these provisions exist in the 1964 Constitution, the Taliban are presently drafting the new constitution. Therefore, it remains unknown as to what the law of the land will be. Thanks for watching Know This. I'll see you next time. This is Priyanka Deo signing off. Namaste.